Hello, Fightful Faithful. Welcome to another episode of the Fightful NXT post show, formerly called Sour Graps, but I can't call it Sour Graps anymore because it's too damn sweet. NXT is back, baby! It's so great. Before we get too far into this thing, if you guys are here, please leave us a thumbs up, a like. Drop a like, smash that like button, drop a like on it, drop it like it's hot. I'm very old. I'm very chuggy. Beth Phoenix used that word today, chuggy. So I found out I'm too old to be a millennial. I remember this thing going around like, yeah, what's a millennial, whatever. Geriatric millennials are from 1980 to 85. And I was born in 79. I'm so old, but NXT is back, baby. Beth Phoenix used the word chuggy tonight. Morrow wasn't there, so they had to have somebody say it, I guess, because they talked about it on Stephen Colbert. So it's a thing now. You know what else is a thing? NXT is great. I please people, start watching the show. Start watching NXT. It deserves your viewership. What a great program NXT is. The distraction finishes are going to be a problem. Let's not make a habit of those if you haven't already. But there appear to be so many awesome directions that NXT can go from here. If I haven't said it yet, I'm your host, Alex Pawlowski. I do this here. Please subscribe to Fightful Select. That's how the best way to support you people at Fightful, including myself. Also, please do send in a super chat, and then we'll talk about the thing that you say when you say it. And then we'll talk about the thing that you say when you say, I'm sorry, I'm delirious from watching the thick boy become your new NXT champion, NXT North American champion. I've been a fan of his for a while, and I'm very excited about it. WWE Mark says, the women's tag scene is the only meh thing right now, and that honestly is only because they don't have enough women's tag teams, which is probably why you shouldn't have done that in the first place. My big thing is they got to get the Riot Squad down there to run with Candice and Indy and Ember and Shotzi and apparently Raquel and Dakota want them back. But that's it. That's all you have. You have nobody else. Because sorry, I'm not counting Aaliyah and Jessica Mea. I'm not counting Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. I'm not counting them yet. But you know who I am counting? Prematurely, certainly. The episode of NXT begins with a match set up last week and the week before. Zoe Stark versus Toni Storm. And it's everything we could have hoped for. These two women work great together. Super chemistry. They're so fantastic to watch. I'm a big fan of both of them. And I wanted to say that I'm watching them in the ring, and they just it's like they were born to wrestle each other. They fit perfectly. So I thought let's I'm pitching this in my brain and then now out to everybody else who's watching and listening. Because their first match, the first match actually was at the TakeOver a while ago. That was good. This was better. Don't worry. We'll get to the finisher in a second. Because that was like, yeah. Let's see Toni Storm and Zoe Stark have like a best of 5 series because their matches are so great. Why not like make it official? Now it's tied at 1-1. So 3 more matches. Regal makes this, and by the end, they develop a kind of grudging respect for each other, and then Regal forces them to be a tag team because he needs one more tag team for the big tag team four corners match or some shit. I don't know. You know what I mean? He's got to have one more tag team. He's like, I'm picking you two to be a tag team. He's like, we don't like each other. You work very well together. You work very well together, Miss Stark and Miss Storm. So I'm making you a tag team. And I'm going to give you a tag team name right now. And your tag team name is Tony Stark. Ba-dum-bum-bum. No, but I don't think they should actually have that name, although that would be fun. It would pop me. But I do think they should be a tag team one day because they're really, really great together. I think they should wrestle against each other for a while because those are good. But eventually, I'd like to see how they work in tandem. Because the end of the match, by the way, Stark is so great. And I feel like they're definitely grooming her for maybe a year from now to maybe there become a champion. Tony Storm hits the Storm Zero on her, which nobody kicks out of. And Zoe Stark does kick out of it. And then Tony Storm's like, well, I guess I better bring something else out of my arsenal I have never tried before. Something no one has ever tried before. I think I'm going to try to murder Zoe Stark. So she does like a judo hip toss. And in the middle of it, she like switches her position and drops down underneath a falling Zoe Stark and drops her into an impaler DDT. It's one of the most disgusting looking finishers I've ever seen. Like, there is no way to really guarantee that you're protecting the person you're doing that move to. They just have to trust that they're not going to get an impacted spinal cord. I don't know what we're going to call that, but death. Death from above. Like, I don't, that was crazy. Gosh, I loved it. And this is why we have an amazing opportunity to see where this women's division goes. Like, it's the reality of NXT that people get called up to the main roster, even though they don't call it that anymore. That's still what it is, as long as Vince is there. So the reality of the situation is people are going to get called up. I wouldn't wish that on anybody right now, considering what's going on. You might get eaten by a zombie. You never know. What's going on with the creative up on the main roster, if you could even call it that, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy's dead dog. But the reality of the situation is we're going to lose some people to the main roster over the course of the next several months, a year, forever. And when those people move up, there are already so many people on both the men and women's side ready to move up and take that spot. So I'm very, very excited about it. The Nerd Guru says, aside from some hokey finishes, another kick-ass episode of NXT. Cage match rocked. Happy for Bronson, but my guy Swerve going to need that title, though. He's going to need all the titles. We're going to talk about Hit Row and why that is the best goddamn thing under the WWE umbrella right now, aside from Roman Reigns. And I mean, he's kind of in another category. Anything he touches on Friday nights turns to gold, Cesaro included, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, all that stuff. But certainly Hit Row is already the best thing on Mondays or Tuesdays, considering how they booked poor Lashley last night. By the way, if you guys enjoy me talking about something I love, which is NXT, perhaps you'd like to hear me talk about something I hate, which is Raw. And you can tune in to Fightful Select, subscribe if you have not, after the show and hear me just yell. People seem to like it. Apparently I make some jokes in there. I don't know. I go into kind of a fugue state where my mind just is a blur. That's how angry I am. But apparently I cracked some jokes in there, so that's good. The Guru also says that the prime target for Cross Balor 2 was Absolute Flames. My God. Having Heyman and McAfee in there, even name-dropping Reigns, made it so special. Yes, kudos to that, to the production team. They always make these things so great. And I loved McAfee in there and Heyman, everybody, being part of the interview process. I am firmly of the belief that this is all a giant bait and switch, and the match never has a clean finish next week. I am nearly 100% sure of that. So we'll talk more about it in a second. I saw something here I missed. No. Yes. Matthew Makowski asks, ready for those Bucks, Alex? Gosh, never. Because I'm a nervous wreck when my Milwaukee Bucks are in the playoffs after the last couple of years. High hopes. All I can say is they don't have Eric Bledsoe anymore, so they're already a better team than they were the last 2 years in the playoffs. If Drew Holiday doesn't just fall down on his face, kicking the ball into the stands 15 times a game, he's already better than Eric Bledsoe. Do you think we get Regal versus Gargano at TakeOver? It would be very good. I don't. I don't think we get that. It'd be great. I'd love it. I don't think that Regal's gonna do that again. It would be nice. Okay. Because I'm blanking. Yes. So there's a Franky Money makes her presence known after Storm gets her victory in standing tall. Franky Money stands at the top of the ring, and she's there. Storm doesn't like it, and she poses on the stage. And so I don't know what we're doing with Franky Money yet, and I like that. I like not knowing. We're going to talk about in a little bit not knowing what they're doing with Pete Dunne just yet, and I like that too. I believe in my soul, I have to believe that NXT knows what they're doing with Franky Money and Pete Dunne, but they want us to question, to be like, I'm not sure where this is going. That's good. Franky Money has taunted all the baby faces backstage. Well, she's also come into contact with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, who I think are heels again. I'm not sure, but that's also kind of good. She's coming out there and talking to Toni Storm, who's been presented as nothing but a heel. And she's taken her shine. Storm doesn't like that. Franky Money is making a lot of enemies. They haven't said yet who her first match is going to be against next week. It may be just like a squash, somebody like a Jessie Kamea, something like that. Something to show off what she can do. I don't think it's going to be like a Surrey thing where she comes out and does all of her stuff and has like a 12-minute banger with Zoe Stark. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be more like hey, this is this new person. We're treating her more as a personality than an in-ring performer right now. And you'll see her in-ring performing stuff later, I think is what they're going to do with her. Mackenzie Mitchell is talking with backstage with Roman Mendoza, Joaquin Wild. Santos isn't there, which is like, okay, cool. He gets a night off. That's fine for Santos. But they want a title shot from MSK. And then Tommy and Timmy show up. And Timothy Thatcher points at them and says, El gato no tienes zapatos. But he says it like this. El gato no tiene zapatos. And then he slowly, sheepishly lowers his finger and says, the cat does not have shoes. And he just says it like that, which is an actual translation of what he said. I thought they were going to do a thing when he said El gato no tiene zapatos. I thought they were going to have him think he was saying something intimidating and have Legado de Phantasma go like, no, dude, you said the cat didn't have shoes. Maybe the cat is Wade Barrett. Oh, I get it. It's a big conspiracy, right? Because everybody in NXT loves those. Hey, the Wade Barrett is El Gato, and he doesn't have any shoes because Tommaso Ciampa stole them, and he's going to use the shoes, but he didn't. That'd be great, though, if he actually had used the shoes that he stole from El Gato to win the match that he had. They challenged Legado de Phantasma because they also want a shot at MSK. So they have a match later, which is good. We'll talk about that when we get there. So Cameron Grimes, he arrives in the parking lot and he tosses his keys to Jake Atlas because he thinks Jake Atlas is, a valet. And it's like, no. It's Ted DiBiase's spot. You can't park there. And everybody's laughing at him. They go, ooh, like it's an episode of Saved by the Bell or some shit. And so Grimes challenges Atlas to a match. And then he throws some money at him because that's what you do. So Myron Kidd says didn't get the praise of Toni Storm's new finisher on social media. She can break someone's neck if not executed well. She should ditch it. Well, I don't feel like she tried it for the first time in the ring tonight. I feel like that's something that she's been working on backstage quite a bit. You are right in that it appears to be very dangerous. I feel like if it was, like if it hadn't been executed perfectly every time she tried it, they wouldn't have let her do it on TV in case, she paralyzed Zoe Stark. It does appear to be a very dangerous finisher. I'll be interested to see who she can apply that to. I don't think she can do that if she, for some reason, for example, were to get a title shot versus Raquel Gonzalez. I don't think she can do that move with the same perfection as she did it to Raquel as she did it to Zoe. So we'll see. But I take your concern to heart, because my first thought when I saw it was, oh God, that was a total botch. Like she was trying to do a thing, and then like, no, it wasn't a botch. She meant to do it because that was the finish. I thought that Zoe was going to kick out of it because it wasn't the finish. But yeah, some good stuff. It looks like it hurts anyway. J.K. Schwal is sending me some money for because he's also a fellow Bucks fan, because he also hates Eric Bledsoe. Man, when we signed Eric Bledsoe, I thought he was going to be the missing piece, and it turns out he was, to a second round exit. So there was a lot of outside of the ring stuff tonight, which isn't bad because I felt like most of the segments were pretty good. It was just there was less wrestling than I thought we were going to be getting, but the wrestling we got was pretty good. Bad finishes, but we'll talk about that in a second. So Indy and Candice are having a spa day because you should. You treat yourself. Sometimes you need to treat yourself. I think it's a good idea, personally. But yeah, I was a fan of this little interaction with Candice. Them got the little cucumbers over their eyes and the face masks, and they're getting massaged. And is that Dexter Lumis's day job? Is he a masseuse at a spa? Because it feels like he's very conspicuous. And we know he doesn't talk because he's never talked. So if he walks in and he I don't know, chokes out a guy to steal his uniform, his masseuse uniform, and then he starts massaging ladies, you'd think one of the other masseuses would be like, "Hey, are you new? I haven't seen you here before." And then Dexter Lumis would just like stare in mustache and be like, "I'm gonna call security." Like, I'm pretty sure that's how that would actually work, but I'm willing to suspend my disbelief because, hey, 2 days ago I watched Zombies as lumberjacks, and this was definitely not as impossible to believe as that. But she says thanks. Indy says thank you for turning me around on Candace. I can't believe that that I thought that I even liked that loser. What a creepy. He just stares at me every time he sees me. Thank you for helping me see the truth. And then Lumis is very sad and he walks away. We'll get another thing later where the massage is over. This is much later in the night, but the massage is over. And we get they're the massage attendant, spa attendant comes and says, "I'm sorry, Miss LeRae, your card's been declined." It's like, "No, I just wrote it again." "No, I did. I ran it a bunch of times, and I called the credit card company. There's a charge on it that hasn't been paid." It's like, "Oh, it was Austin. He orders so many pizzas on that thing." And I'm like, "He does? Man, he's got a great physique for a guy who eats so many pizzas." And she's like, "No, it wasn't that. It was a floral thing." And Candice LeRae apparently forgot to pay. See, always use cash because then there's not a paper trail. That's something that's right there. You got to think of it. So Indy puts 2 and 2 together, realizes that Dexter didn't send the flowers to Ember and Shotzi. It was Candice who did it the whole time. You know what this means? And I think Candice thought that Indy was going to punch her. But then she's like, "He still loves me," says Indy. So it looks like we get the return of Index, which is the ship name that the Bennifer is back apparently after I don't know 15 years. More Bennifer. I don't think they can hold a candle to Index though. I do think that Candice and Indy are really coming into their own as comedic personalities. I think it works. So there's a hold on a second. I'm gonna do a couple of super chats. Please, everybody, send super chats so I can have more tangents that I'll jump off on, and maybe we'll get back to talking about NXT at some point. I'm not sure. The Nerd Guru says, with Miz injured, send Morrison to NXT to team with Franky against Johnny and Candice. Give me all the matches with those couples. The Nerd Guru, I like the way you think. That's a great idea. Miz, of course, is out for 7 to 9 months. Tore his ACL in the zombie match. Like, what a great way to write a guy off, though. Here's the thing. Like, Morrison on Sunday also got eaten by zombies, but he was on Raw the next day. So more zombies devoured Miz than devoured Morrison. And if Miz had been healthy, he would have been on Raw the next night. So I'm very glad. It's a great way to write somebody off TV. Eaten by zombies. So, it's right up there with like Poochie died on the way to his home planet. It's right up there. You write a character off TV forever. I don't think forever. Miz will be gone just long enough for us to forget about how much we were annoyed by him. And when he comes back, he'll get a hero's welcome. Nirguru, great point. Send Morrison to NXT. I mean, do it just because Morrison would get a chance to shine more in NXT than he would on the main roster, because now he's going to lose on main event to Mansoor. So the prime target package for Balor and Cross, again, very, very good. I loved Heyman in there. Like, you want me? I'm very famous for doing not predictions, but spoilers. But Cross versus Finn Balor, that's too close to call. He mentions Roman, like wondering what's going to happen. So they're teasing a lot. Loser goes to SmackDown in this little, what they call it, prime target. They appear to be teasing loser goes to SmackDown as the stipulation for this match. Man, if there is anything that could slow the roll of Roman Reigns, it's having matches with Karrion Kross. I can't think of anything I would like to see less than that. I mean, I could see a lot of things I could like to see. In regarding to Roman Reigns, like, you got people on that roster you can do stuff with. Big E needs a damn Universal title program before Cross does. Can we not? Can we just put Cross on Raw so I can actively hate it? But I feel like Finn Balor's probably going to lose. And if he goes to SmackDown, this Finn Balor, the one we've seen in NXT, if they let him be this guy and not like super happy, flip up the collar of my leather jacket guy on the main roster, if he gets to be this Finn Balor against Roman Reigns, yeah, you can sign me up for that. I'd watch that every Friday, sure. But I'm not super excited about the match next week because I don't know. It just feels to me that you did this huge video package, a prime target for like it's a Tuesday. It's just a Tuesday. It's an episode of NXT. It's not Tuesday. It's not Halloween Havoc or Great American Bash when they did those on a regular episode of NXT. It's an episode of NXT. And I feel like you could have just waited 3 weeks for the takeover. If it's this big of a thing, it feels like you would have waited. Pushed it off 3 weeks to the takeover. Like, it's not like you'd never do that for other things. Certainly you make big matches 6 weeks ahead of time all the time. It feels like you could have pushed this back. So the fact that you didn't makes me believe almost 100% that there's no clean finish to this match. There's some kind of interference. There's not even going to be a pin. It's going to be a disqualification or something. My thought had been, before everything happened tonight, that we were going to get Gargano Dunn and Kyle O'Reilly, maybe Adam Cole and Balor against Cross in some multi-man ladder match type of thing. That's what I feel like. It feels like that's a kind of thing that they would do for NXT, considering how they're booking all of these guys as saying that they each have a claim to be the next champion or the next challenger. It doesn't make any sense to me to do Cross versus Balor with a definitive winner with only 2 more weeks really out, because you got to figure that's the last match of the night next week. So then they have 2 more weeks, really, right? 2 more weeks. Between that, they have 2 more episodes of NXT to like plug in a brand new challenger for the takeover that they have on July 13th or June 13th, the In Your House. That's just not enough time. To me, it's just not enough time to like plug in somebody, right? They could do that, but I really hope they don't. I feel like they need to tell a more of a cohesive story to get another one-on-one match versus Cross. What do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet. So we get our Jake Atlas and Cameron Grimes match. And Cameron Grimes is immediately the biggest heel in NXT because he calls for his own music to be cut. And every time that music comes on, I just want to. It's great. Don't ever. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have danced. That's my fault. But it's a very fun song to bob your head to. And he's like, no, cut the music. I was like, oh, Cameron, you hurt my feelings. But he says, everyone finds it funny how the $1 million, how Ted DiBiase keeps embarrassing everybody. Wait, here's the real $1 million man. So it just shows a video package up on the screen of $1 million man, some bigger moments from his career, and then a bunch of losses that he took. But I think there is a huge demographic that they play to, or that they're trying to play to, that may not have seen a lot of $1 million man matches, because them shits was 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. So perhaps it's just like a refresher. Hey, you know this old bearded dude I've been doing skits with? Yeah, this is who that guy is, just in case anybody didn't know. So the match between Atlas and Grimes is fine. I really love. I've been a fan of Grimes since he was in his Trevor Lee stage, and Atlas is, again, he's one of those guys that you can just plug in wherever you need him to be. Bronson Reed was that a year ago. I'm not saying Jake Atlas a year from now is going to be North American champion. I'm saying Bronson Reed was a guy who could take losses if you needed him to, who could beat a guy if you wanted that to further the story. You could do anything with Bronson Reed. And I was like, I like that guy. I hope he finally gets a push and gets to be a champion one day. And look where he is now. So Jake Atlas takes a loss a couple of weeks ago to LA Knight, I think. And then he's able to beat Cameron Grimes tonight. He should be winning more matches because he needs more eyes to be on that crazy cartwheel DDT thing that he does off the top rope. He hasn't, I don't think he's won a match with that or successfully hit it on anybody in months. It's too beautiful a move to keep under wraps. Let's find him some guys he can beat every now and then, so he can drop that on somebody and we can all go, damn, like the first time we saw it. So Grimes is able to hit his crazy crossbody. It's like a Spanish fly crossbody thing that he does off the ropes. You've seen it before. Every time he does it, I feel like he did it he's the one who got hurt from it, but he never is. And he's waiting in the corner for Alice to give up so he can do his big cave-in move. But then $1 Million Man comes out, and comes out there, and Grimes is distracted. So Atlas gets the roll up. There were a bunch of these on Raw last night. And I hate distraction finishes, distraction roll-ups the most. I hate them. I hate them. This is the one case where that kind of finish makes sense. You're saying, well, I thought you hate them. I do, because we see them all the time where they don't make sense, or they're not needed, or they don't fit a story. It's just there because you got nothing else. You can't figure out some other way for some guy to win or lose. Cameron Grimes is obsessed with Ted DiBiase. He can't stand that guy. We know from an earlier skit that Ted DiBiase is going to show up today. So Cameron Grimes in the ring sees Ted DiBiase, who we knew was going to be here anyway, shows up on like he was due to be here. Here he is. Cameron Grimes is obsessed with Ted DiBiase, so he stops what he's doing and goes, "Hey, I hate you," and it causes him to lose the match. This finish in a vacuum, without the context of it being like, I don't know, the 17th distraction finish that they've done this week, would be fine. We need to get them to do the rest, to not do the rest of the distraction finishes, so that things like this don't feel like it's, God, another distraction finish. If it's one you do every 3 weeks, and it makes sense for the character to be distracted, not like, oh, I don't know, Randy Orton, who has more matches than anyone ever in like the last 20 years of WWE, to like be distracted by a trombone. Like, he's got the highest ring IQ of anybody because he's just been in so many damn matches. Randy Orton doesn't get distracted by a trombone. This is what we need. Real distractions by people who would be distracted by the person who's distracting them. It's great. So then Grimes thinks he might try and go and punch Atlas, but then he's like, no, I'd rather go and punch Ted DiBiase. So he runs backstage the way that I try and jog. I'm a big fat guy, and I gotta get my arms pumping so that I can keep moving. For those of you wondering, I'm good for about 100 yards, and then I'm done. Then it's walking for the rest of the way. But I'm getting better. Trying to go for a walk every day. You got to do it. At least that's what my doctor tells me. Anyway, so he's chugging back there, stumbling back, and he finds the limo out front, and he tries to pull on the door, and Ted DiBiase didn't lock the door. Ted DiBiase was supposed to lock the door because the door slightly opens, and Cameron Grimes shuts it again, then puts his own hand over the door frame so that when he pulls on the door handle, it won't open. Because apparently Ted DiBiase couldn't figure out where the lock button was. But he's like, I'm telling you, kid, you know, you're still no $1 million man. And he drives off again. And next week they're going to have a face-off in the ring. And here's what I want. I want a double turn. Cameron Grimes is so damn lovable. He really is. Like, he's lovable. I mean, he's a heel now, and I get it. But all you have to do is find somebody you hate more than Cameron Grimes, and he's instantly a babyface because he's just so much fun to watch. And like, all of his moveset is way more babyfacey than heel. So it'd be kind of great if we had an opportunity to cheer for him. So I don't think Ted DiBiase's getting in the ring and having a match. So I think that he should have a champion, a guy who is paid by Ted DiBiase to have matches, the same way like he bought Andre the Giant all those years ago. He should buy somebody. And I don't know exactly who I would do. I mean, the guy I'm thinking of is LA Knight, because LA Knight seems like the kind of guy who loves money. LA Knight's a definite heel. You can't root for a guy like LA Knight. So LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes with a whole bunch of money on the line would be a lot of fun. I think you could easily make that away, and you could do kind of a little double turn for Cameron Grimes. I appreciate it. Bronson Reed talks about his thing before the cage match. Before the cage match, a little interesting note: his first ever match was 14 years ago. 14 years ago today. That's really cool storytelling. 14 years ago was his first match, and he becomes North American champion. on this day. I thought was a really, really cool little tidbit, some fun stuff to do. It's like but other than that, it's your standard. I have a big match today. I'm going to win it. And later, Johnny Gargano has the same basic thing. I have a big match. It is my championship, and I will defend it. It's boilerplate stuff, but I did appreciate the little symmetry of first match ever. 14 years later, big match like that. Really good. Evan Wright says, I wish the zombies would devour Vince one day. We can only hope. He also says, Evan Wright says, haven't been all that interested in NXT since the Tuesday move. This week was the first that I really enjoyed. Well, to each their own. I've been really enjoying a lot of them. Love your reviews, though. Well, thank you, Evan. Appreciate that. Remember the Fightful Faithful from way back. So, Evan Wright asks, thoughts on the new Kyle O'Reilly shirt? I have seen it. I have thoughts. It's an X-ray of a man's foot, and through the heel bone is like a Captain Hook, like a hook. It's a hook, like a Captain Hook. You know what I'm talking about. And it says heel hook, which would be a bad shirt even if Kyle O'Reilly was known for winning all of his matches via heel hook, but he's been winning his matches via knee to the back of the head. Like if he won all of his matches via heel hook, and that was like the most feared submission in NXT, and then you did this kind of a shirt, it would still be a bad shirt. But because you're not doing that, it's not a good shirt at all. And it's not a good shirt. Did nobody tell the people who were designing it that Kyle O'Reilly doesn't win a lot of matches via the heel hook? Somebody should have told them that. So Arash Markazi is now a guy who interviews people for NXT. Interviews Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne never insults the interviewer. He doesn't talk shit about the fans, or he does say "I don't care" a lot, but that's just Pete Dunne. I feel like Pete Dunne can't say a lot of things without saying also "I don't care." It's just Pete Dunne. He has to work it in every fourth sentence. But he talks about how he's the baddest guy in NXT. He's already beaten Kushida. I don't have to prove anything, but as far as I'm concerned, that title's there. I could go back and I could get Walter. I could go after North American Championship if I wanted it, or I could go after Karrion Kross. I do whatever I want. I'm Pete Dunne. I don't care. But he did it in a way that was like kind of affable. He seemed like a decent guy, which we've never seen from Pete Dunne. Like even when he was like a babyface working alongside Matt Riddle. Remember what were they called? I forgot what they called them. The Broserweights. That's right. He was still not a nice guy. He was a bad guy that we cheered for because he was friends with an idiot. In this case, he just seems like a decent fellow who, yes, tries to break people's fingers, but there's nothing heelish about this interview. He talks about his influences or whatever. So it felt like they were priming us to not be weirded out when they turn Pete Dunne babyface, which is interesting. Definitely a direction for him. Then we got an interview with Bobby Fish, who says, I didn't come to save Kyle O'Reilly last week. I came because I have unfinished business, because Oney Lorcan and Pete Dunne helped to put me on the shelf since War Games, and I have vengeance on my mind. I'm coming after you guys. And when you have Bobby Fish, who are we supposed to root for him? Like we are, right? Because he's friends with Kyle O'Reilly, and Kyle O'Reilly's a good guy now. Cool Kyle. He's got a bad shirt, but he's still cool Kyle. So are we supposed to root for Bobby Fish? Because if so, he's got a match next week versus Pete Dunne, where he's looking for vengeance. And Pete Dunne just did an interview where he made himself seem like a nice dude. So I feel like we're probably going to get another double turn. Like, are we going to not like Bobby Fish by the end of the match next week and like Pete Dunne? Like, will that be a firm thing we're going to do? Because if so, I'm kind of down for it. I'm kind of down for it. Yeah. Alexander Wolf versus Killian Dane. We're supposed to get that match last week, but we're getting it this week. I feel like they can't talk as much about sanity as they would like to. They mention it, but that would be like the entire story for this if I was producing this match. The fact that these guys, used to be brothers basically, and now they don't, like each other anymore. So it's tentative. I mean, Dane is just, he can't hit anybody softly, but it doesn't feel right. Mostly because they're only building to the ending spot. Dane is able to he has to tangle with both the guys on the outside, and then Bartel tries to pass a chair to Wolf. Wolf dithers a bit on whether or not to use it, and then takes a big old swing at Killian Dane. Well, the ref tries to get it from the chair from Wolf first, and then he runs at Dane with his over his head and gets hit with the giant cross body, and hits a pin. And Dane and Drake celebrate. Drake was still very paranoid throughout the match, but now he realizes that Killian Dane is his friend. Friendship is magic. We're here for friendship. And then that's it. They leave, and Bartel and Eichner get in the ring, and they help Wolf to his feet and say, "No, you stand in front of us while we do our little hands behind the back pose." And I was like, "Oh no, they're gonna jump Wolf," and they did. And I'm like, Wolf did try to hit Dane with the chair, guys. Like, it'd be one thing if he had blatantly refused to use the chair, but he didn't. He tried. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing here. I don't know if they're actually jumping Wolf out of the gang or what. But yeah, they get lots of boos. They have their big double team move on him. So there's an interview with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. They talk about the thing that happened after the match last week, where Raquel and Mercedes had a little respect moment, and Dakota was like, "I would have kicked her in the face." But we want our tag titles back, they say now. And then Everrise interrupts, and they plug their social media show, and they say that there's no way you're going to get your tag titles back because Ember and Shotzi have next. And then you want to take a swing at me? Says one of the guys. I don't know which one he is. And then Gonzalez slaps him in the face and knocks him out. And so that's the joke. I don't know if we're going to get Raquel versus a dude, but we might. Yeah, this to me, even though I really liked the cage match, and even though I really liked that first women's match, with Champa, with Stark and Storm. Champa and Thatcher versus the Phantasma was so good, so great. I was a big fan. I'm seeing people saying they're buffering. YouTube is struggling. Gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. I've got full. I got all my bars. So if there's a problem, it's not on my end. It's not on StreamYard. StreamYard and YouTube are not having fun tonight for some reason. I appreciate it. Thank you for everybody who's able to stick around and listen to the show. I'm sure the show will be in its entirety uploaded to YouTube in fine, no problem. So sorry about that. Phantasma versus Champa and Thatcher is great. Champa and Thatcher just want to murder everybody, and Phantasma is like, yeah, I'm here for it. You can murder me. That's fine. Mendoza gets busted open. There's a lot of really good heart-hitting action. I really loved this match. This was so good. And then, not saying it doesn't make sense with the storyline, but we get interference and a distraction finish. So because GYV comes in and attacks Champa and lays him out on the outside, leaving Thatcher to fend for himself. And so Legado del Fantasma get a victory over Tommy and Timmy. And I'm not a fan of that necessarily, but I think Phantasma can get their shot versus MSK. They'll lose. And then maybe we'll get more Tommy and Timmy versus GYV again for that shot at the tag titles, maybe the takeover. Not sure. I want to get to these super chats here. Sexy Pheasant says, "I love you, Alex." Back at you. I want to tell you, you're not sour, but rather amazing, like Chianti wine from Tuscany. You're my hit row. Well, thank you. I do BFAB personally. And AEW News says, oh gosh, I'm not going to try and pronounce that name. Gerbich. In AEW News, Komoroto powerbombed a person out of his gear. Well, that's something I'm going to have to check out because I do love me some unfrozen caveman wrestler. And Ricardo Holt says that Johnny helped make Bronson look like $1 million. He sure damn did. He sure damn did. I'm so sorry about the YouTube stuff, guys. It's yeah, that's no fun, but not something we can control. So I'm going to keep on going through this. Hopefully, it'll all get uploaded fine, and we can you can catch it. That's not on the stream. That sucks. Sorry about that, guys. So we get Aaliyah versus Surrey. The Robert Stone brand is waiting there. Robert Stone is wearing a maroon zoot suit. Robert Stone turned into a 1930s pimp so gradually that I barely even noticed as it was happening. He's got a big wide brimmed fedora and like a pocket watch chain. And it's a good look if you can pull it off. I'll say that. It's not a good look, and he can't pull it off. Anyway, Aaliyah versus Surrey is a foregone conclusion. And Surrey is trying to be nice about it. She goes for a bow and everything, but Aaliyah kicks her and you go back and forth. And Surrey eventually takes control of everything, destroys her, hits her crazy suplex, and then she goes for the pin. That's it. There's a video message from Ember and Shotzi, and like, we want our rematch. I'm like, you lost clean. It was a street fight. You lost. You lost. I understand there are no other tag teams, but you lost. So that's too bad. That's too bad. Yeah. I guess there's nobody else. That's a problem, and probably the reason why you shouldn't have had your own tag titles at the same time as there are up on the main roster. Yeah. Don't. You know what you guys should go to the main roster and get those tag titles, because anything we can do to get them off of Natalya and Tamina, that's good for me. Another little vignette for the Diamond Mine. Still don't know who it is. You're gonna have to give me more than just vaguely MMA stuff and a logo for me to like really care about this. So sorry, I'm not going to speculate about who's in it. Well, we don't know anything about it yet. So okay, so Hit Row in action. They all come out and they just ooze charisma. All four of them. God damn it. They're so good. They're so great. Jeez, they're so great. So Asante the Adonis and Top Dollar have a tag match. And it's versus Tony Nese, former cruiserweight champion Tony Nese, and like the longest tenured 205 Live guy to never be champion, Aria Daivari. And they're still on 205 Live, like firmly. Tony Nese could have been in NXT at this point, but he's on 205 Live, and that's all they're doing with him. So these guys are established talents, and Top Dollar just destroys these two dudes, just murders them. And Adonis looks great too, but like Top Dollar is Jesus. He like Nese is all smashed up and sitting in the corner, and Top Dollar reaches down and grabs him by the hand, and then just like turns and just slings him over his head across the ring by his wrist. Like it's just brutal. He does an amazing like world's strongest man with two dudes on him instead of just the one. It's pretty amazing. It's so great. Yes, apparently Norm zombies have attacked YouTube. Not good. I do not know what the deal is, but it is not on my end, unfortunately. If it was on my end, it would suck, but it'd be something I could try and fix. I can't. I'm gonna figure this out, guys. Top Dollar and Ashanti are great. Like Ashanti's going crazy, and Top Dollar's like, no, just you don't have to kill him. That's my job. And he goes back and smashes him up some more. These guys are so great together. And by the end of the match, which Top Dollar wins by doing like he gets him up in like a Death Valley driver position, and he lifts him up and like drops him into a brain buster. Whew. It's great. It's so good. I love him. I love him. I've seen enough. Top Dollar, Ashanti together as a tag team. Swerve is so good. And B-Fab, if she can wrestle at all, she's got all the charisma and persona you need to carry everything else. In a year from I'll give them extra time. 15 months from now, if there has not been a period of time where Hit Row is carrying all of the belts, then creative is screwed up. Somebody's made a grievous error. You have to put all the belts on these people. They're so good. Gosh, I love it. They immediately have it, which is a very hard thing to have in wrestling, but they totally have it. They do like a post-match promo, all of them in the ring talking to the camera. Swerve is just so cool leading this group of killers. It's just awesome. 2 weeks from now, says Regal, Legado de Phantasma, I didn't agree with how they won tonight. But they're number one contenders. 2 weeks from now, they'll change MSK. And so he says he's bringing in new talent for the cruiserweight division. Please let that new talent be named Mustafa Ali. Please. But I do love him. And then keeping an eye on the divisions. He's just basically like, basically saying, I have no idea who's going to challenge for the various belts at TakeOver next month. That's what he said. So the steel cage match is everything you want it to be. Austin Theory gets involved all the time, so much so, though, that it makes there's a ref standing right there on the outside, and he does nothing about it. Like, it made him look like he was being paid off by Johnny Gargano. Like, it made him look like such a chump. Ref, do your job. Send Austin Theory to the back. He's getting involved so much. But it's a good story. Bronson Reed, the big dude, in there trying to like smash up Gargano always trying to escape. Both guys take a lot of damage. Bronson Reed does not go for a tsunami off the top rope, off the top of the cage. He does do a springboard, like he's standing on the ropes, not on the top rope in the corner, like on the ropes in the middle of the apron. Looks behind him because he just dealt with Austin Theory. Looks behind him and sees Johnny Gargano crawling toward the door. And he just turns around, like jumps and turns in midair to hit a tsunami to Johnny Gargano's back, which is vicious. And then he immediately walks over, shuts the door, climbs up to the top rope, hits another tsunami. And I guess the 1, 2, 3. Bronson Reed, your new NXT North American champion. It's a very good cage match, guys. Highly recommended. There's some really cool psychology, some great storytelling in the ring. Bronson Reed as North American champion, I think he's the right guy to do it because, again, I wouldn't risk this on anybody, but he's ready to be moved up. They could use another heavy somewhere on the top roster. Until Keith Lee comes back, they need somebody. God knows what's going on with Keith Lee, but they need somebody. I keep saying Bronson Reed would fit perfectly as another member of the Samoan dynasty over on SmackDown. I know he's not Samoan. He's Maori. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. That he's indigenous to the Pacific Islands. But he certainly looks close enough for Vince. And he'd be so great out there smashing up people at the behest of Roman Reigns. Especially if what appears to be going to happen and that Jay and Jimmy are going to break out on their own and be a tag team. Well, if that's the case, then Roman needs somebody else to be his muscle, and this guy'd be perfect for it. So if they're going to do that with Bronson, then Swerve is perfect to slide into that role and become North American champion, man. He really is. He's Bronson is keeping that belt warm for somebody. Although I do love him, he's keeping that belt warm for somebody. I'm a big fan of this entire match. There's a lot of really great stuff here. It appears to be that the stream might be coming back online for people. If so, that makes me happy. Please try to watch the whole thing. If you can't go back, it should all be there, I guess. I don't think there's anything wrong with what my broadcast was. It's just YouTube being wonky this evening. Perfect timing. So yeah, everybody, get your final super chats in because we're going to close up shop on this show, and then I gotta talk about Raw. But if YouTube is not behaving properly, maybe I'll wait and do that on another evening. NXT is in a really good spot with a lot of really great talent, a lot of really great things going on. They just got to stay away from those. They got to stay away from those distraction finishes all the time. It's just too much. Just too much. Norm Summers says, glad Reed won. Cool, it was on 14th anniversary of his first match. Don't like escaping the cage is the way to win. Thankfully, didn't come to that. I have, Norm, you are so right. Climbing out of the cage, I'm fine with that. Always been fine with that. That is a way to win. A door on the cage, and there's a ref there to like open it for you. Nah, no. I mean, no. No. I'm sorry. I've never ever liked the convention of you get to walk out of the cage, just walk out of it through a door. No, it's either pin or submission in the ring or climb out to escape. That's the only way it should work. So I agree with you. I'm very happy that did not happen with this this match as well. Guys, leave a like if you would be so kind. I do appreciate it. It helps, with the logarithms and the algorithms and the algorithm. Former vice president likes to get down with his bad self. Algorithm. Subscribe to Fightful Select. That's where you'll find me talking about Raw from last night and zombie matches. And then tomorrow night, we got the AEW show. Well, I will be talking probably with Sean Ross Sapp and Robert D. Felice. We there's so many shows on at Fightful. Please thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, this channel, if you haven't yet. You should definitely do that. And what do you do? Hit the bell notifications. That's a thing. Notifications turned on. Appreciate it. It's a good thing. Thank you all for sticking out if you could, if you did, through the technical difficulties. If only there was a world without technical difficulties. But sometimes technology can be difficult. Everybody be safe out there. There's just so much stuff going on in the world right now. Love one another, if at all possible. That's what I always say. If at all possible, love one another, and take care. I'll catch you on the flippity flip. Good night.